Okay, so first I grab my foundation paper. Of course, you can use the newspaper like I learned from the ladies in quilting group. Then I just take my ruler and a marker and I draw some lines. I can make whatever lines I want or follow a pattern, but I like just making my own. Then I go ahead and I start with the middle piece. And I find a piece that's big enough to cover that. This one will work really good. And what you do is, you're going to use these lines to sew. So this actually is working from the back. This one, you put the paper to the wrong side. I'm lucky enough to have a window right by me, so I can usually hold it up and see right where I want to place it. Then I put a pin in to hold it. Then I'll take paper and fold it back just a little bit and trim some of the extra off. Then I will find my next piece, see where I want it to go. I just pick a side and start. This time the fabric is facing up the right side. I match up my line to give myself a little seam allowance. I'll check again. I'll have a little bit of extra there, so I'll trim that off too. Now I'm using red thread so you guys can see what I'm doing. Normally I just use white. And now I just sew along that line. Yep, I'm on the wrong stitch. There we go. If I go a little bit off the line, I don't mind. I'll take my pin out. Normally I'm set up better to be able to just iron wherever I want when I'm doing it. But I got the camera where I would normally iron, so I'll pop this little towel up here to make it easy. And that's where the zigzag stitch kind of happened, so that's just a little mistake that'll get covered up as I go anyway. Iron it back, just so I don't have all this extra while I'm trying to sew. I don't really try to I get close, but not too close. I don't want to cut the paper at all. There's still a big piece, I'll save it. Go on to the next and just make sure it's facing right side to right side. Line it up. Make sure I got the seam allowance, and sew. And I'm not going to worry about the towel because this is only going to be a quick second of heat. It's not going to hurt anything. There, it's ironed back. And again, I just trim as I go. get the neck. Well, this one's kind of big, so I don't really need it that big. But I will. No, I'll use it on this side. I know I don't need it that wide. I'll go like this and say, oh, okay. I still need another piece. We're over here. And, hey, here's a nice purple one. That'll work. Again, I don't need the piece that big. So I will just do that. Go like this. Realize I don't. Oh, wrong side. Always double check. Then. Yeah, it's the right side. Go like this. Now, that is all not really trimmed, but as you can see, it's nice and square to a certain degree. And then I take my ruler, and this big fat one, so I don't cut my fingers. I just put it along the edge of the paper and trim. I double check it, make sure no fabric is sticking out on the edge, and that's the block all done up. Then I just take the paper off. And then you'll see you have some like extra fabric sitting here. So I just take my scissors. I look at it, I fold it back, make sure I'm not cutting something I want in the block, and just trim it off. Sometimes, let's see, oh, that one can go too. And there's the block. The one thing I definitely do before anything else, before I try to put them on batting or anything, I take my awesome little starch, spray the crap out of the block, and iron it so it's nice and crisp and firm. I can see this one actually did go off center a little, but that's okay because that'll all get, well, not off center, but it's not as straight, but that will work out in the end because I already have backings cut from when I made that one. So I only make a backing a little bit bigger than this. Then I take a piece of batting, I spritz it with a little Bond spray and put it on there. And I put this in the middle. Again, I hold it up to my light and make sure that it's in the middle. And then I quilt it however I want. Then once it's quilted, it will look like, oh, here they go. It'll look like this, with the wavy lines or a stipple. Then after that, I just trim up the block the same way I did all of the papers. The only thing I discovered after I made that one and I had all the blocks cut up that they were trimmed up, they were just like a hair off. So I found the smallest one I had and I made them all that size. I just trimmed them up like maybe at most a 1/4 of an inch, maybe to 1/8 of an inch. Then you take the blocks after they've been trimmed up, and I already did this one earlier, but I'll show you with this one. Hopefully you'll be able to see it well enough. I just put my zigzag stitch on. My machine has a stitch length from 0 to 4, so I put it on 1. I put my stitch width on 4, and I just butt these together. That's all I do, is just put them together and make sure they're even. So I start at the top and I just keep the seam in the middle and I zigzag down. I don't normally backstitch on these, but that one started a little bit down further than I wanted it to, and I wanted to make sure it grabbed the whole block. Then, to get the nicer satin look on it, after I get all these blocks put together, I match up the seams, the zigzags, make sure that they're even and everything. I go back over it, but I change my stitch width to 6. I go down to 0 and I come back just a tiny bit, so it'll still do a normal zigzag. I get my thread to go the right way, and then I just go right over the zigzag I just did after the whole blanket is done, so it's a continuous one straight down. I'm not going to do the whole thing so you can see the difference really quick. I'll show you the back, because the back, it's easier to show. The little one that's the one that just connects them at first. Then this one goes right over and covers that up. And that's how I made the crazy little blanket.